Popping in for Alex Jones today, it's Jack Posobiec here from Washington, D.C., breaking down all the latest of what's going on here in the city that has been rocked over the past few weeks with the revelations of Hillary Clinton's involvement in the Uranium One deal and the fact that the entire situation was under investigation by the FBI, but was then since swept under the rug by none other than FBI directors Robert Mueller and James Comey. Mueller, of course, is now the special prosecutor in charge of the Russia investigation, the Russia collusion investigation on President Trump, whereas James Comey was fired. However, it really does beg the question, now that the new evidence has come out that Mueller may have been involved in covering up the previous administrations, Barack Obama administration's dealings with Russia, the sale of Uranium One to Russia, the contracting of these lands being approved through the Department of State, Hillary Clinton, while the Secretary of State's husband, Bill Clinton, accepted $500,000 from the Russian state, as well as $145 million in donations to the Clinton Foundation. One piece of this that I'd like to go back to, and I brought up some of this with Alex earlier today, is that all of this uranium that we keep talking about, the 20% of the US uranium, well, where is that uranium, you ask? Where is it? Can we find it? Can we see it? Can we touch it? What happened to it? Is it really gone? Is it all in Russia? How do we know? So if you go back and look, there's actually a Bureau of Land Management website that I did some digging and actually pulled this up, that wrote back all the way in 2011 and 2012 that they were indeed looking to secure a deal and approve a deal with Uranium One through their shell company, Oregon Energy LLC, to approve this deal to allow the development of a strip mine or possibly even an open pit mine in Oregon. The company was later sold, and they're now subsidiaries, right? They call it, that's what the Uranium One does, is that they use all these subsidiaries to make it look like it's an Australian company or make it look like it's a US company or a Canadian company. But what happens is they're really all owned at the end of the day by Uranium One, which is in turn owned by the Russian state. The way it works is those mines, a lot of them, or a lot of the land usage rights, are actually down in Mulher County in southwest Oregon. This part of Oregon gained a lot of international attention back all the way in 2014, 2015, when the standoffs were going on between the Bundys and the Hammond Ranch. The Bundy Ranch is there as well, northern Nevada, southern Oregon, that were going on when they were trying to get kicked off of their land by the US government, as they alleged. The standoff happened, and those ranchers were the ones that were standing in the way while BLM was trying and pushing very hard to get them off their lands. FBI's HRT was involved, and now we're breaking down and learning that this project is actually called the Aurora Project. Now, I know that is kind of a headline-grabbing title, but it's actually because it's near the town of Aurora. So this Aurora Project quite simply says the Aurora Uranium Project shows the local infrastructure. There's been previous mines have been out there. They've known that uranium has been there since the 1970s. It's only been in recent years that it was sold out to Russia. So it used to be that these were done by US companies or done by Canadian companies, our allies, but then it was through the sale of those companies that Russia, and the approval of that sale by Clinton as Secretary of State and then Obama as president, those sales put these uranium deposits, which are found here in the United States, in the hands of the Russians. We now know, and I got off the phone with a source just before the call today, that what they're doing is the uranium that comes out of there, according to my source, is sent up to Canada, which has different import-export licensing than if they were sending it directly to Russia. So it goes to Canada, then so it's sort of, and then it goes to Russia from there. So what they're kind of doing is almost laundering the uranium in the way that you would launder money, because it was being sent directly from the United States to Russia. This would obviously trigger a lot of alarm bells. So what they're doing with Uranium One, which was originally part Canadian-owned company, now they're able to funnel it through Canada, then get it back to Russia. Here's another shot you guys can see of what's going on there. This is one of the major open pit mine. It's a diagram for what they wanted, for everything they want to do there. The stockpile areas, the processing plants, all of this, Mulher County, very close to where that standoff took place. So now this really begs the question that if this huge project is going on out there in southwestern Oregon, Aurora, Oregon is the name of the city. So they call it the Aurora Project. Here I am on a Friday talking about Project Aurora. I didn't think that would be coming up. But if all of this is going on, clearly the local representatives would know something about it. The federal representatives for Oregon, to include Senator Ron Wyden, certainly would know something about it. We're now seeing, you can see the data, total production of uranium concentrated in the United States going all the way down. These are in pounds, so millions and millions of pounds of uranium coming out of the United States. I think these numbers go through about 2011. So right around the time this was going on, this is one of the major uranium spots in not only in the United States, but in the entire world. And what we're learning that Russia was up to with its Uranium One purchases was to corner the entire, not just US market on uranium, but actually the world market on uranium, a strategic nuclear material, strategic fissile material that's used in nuclear weapons. Now, Russia, of course, we know has a somewhat cozy relationship with North Korea. Is it possible then, it's not so far to say, that some of that yellow cake, and that's the type of uranium that you can get out of Oregon, is it possible that some of that uranium ended up in the hands of the North Koreans, who we now know have a reinvigorated nuclear program, and they have the ability, or they're trying to get the ability with their TD2 missiles, to be able to launch into sites in northwestern the United States. So I was discussing this earlier today with a source, and I said, what irony that North Korea could be striking the northwestern states of America, right, Washington and Oregon, with uranium that actually came from that very same area, thanks to the machinations of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Now, I know all this sounds quite sensational, and that's why I'm not Jack Posobiec sitting here and making these claims. I am simply calling for a special prosecution, a special investigation into this entire situation to find out where our government's culpability comes in on it. Because if this is true, and they have secured this uranium, and that there were payoffs to Clinton and to Bill Clinton, to the Clinton Foundation, to so many other people that would have had to be involved in this, with approvals coming all over from the Uranium One, lining the pockets of everyone involved in this. While the entire thing was under FBI investigation, the entire investigation then swept under the rug. Mueller goes and invests in hedge funds long after that, long after he gets out of office, where he's getting his profits. We need this to be known. We need this truth to come out. We need all of it to be put in front of the American people to let them know quite specifically what was going on. Remember, Hillary Clinton is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. She's never once had a company. She's never once had, or at least a successful company. She did have Whitewater, I suppose, but we can talk about that some other time. Hillary Clinton didn't sell a product. She didn't provide a service. She was in elected and then later appointed government office. She was in public office and yet ended up a multimillionaire. What product was she selling, you ask? Well, it seems that more and more we're learning that that product may have been uranium. Folks, you're not going to hear this stuff anywhere else in media. That's why you've got to stick here on InfoWars. Keep it tuned. We're going to talk a little bit about the JFK files and then also a little bit about the dossier coming up to round out the 4th hour here today. I'm Jack Posobiec, guest hosting. We've got a lot of news. I know it's a Friday. I know it's Halloween is coming. There's a lot going on. I'm going to a party here in D.C. later tonight with Lauren Southern, Will Chamberlain, Cassandra Fairbanks, a whole slew of patriots. So there's a ton of really exciting stuff to go on. And no, I am not telling you what my costume is going to be. But you guys stick around. We might be able to show you a picture of it later on my Twitter account. But stay here for the rest of the 4th hour, and we will be breaking down so much for you. Stick around, Infowars.com.
What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com.